My ex-fiancé's regrets cheating, wedding canceled. Hello, true story. My name is Jacob, but if you share this email on your channel, I'd like to go by that name only. I'm 32 years old now, but the events I'm about to share started when I was 29. This is a long one, but I want to give the full picture of how everything happened, because maybe some guy out there will learn from what I went through. How it all began. Back when I was 29, I had just finished the grind and was finally graduating with my PhD. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, born and raised, and I always imagined that finishing my doctorate would feel like the moment where all the puzzle pieces of my life came together. I was ambitious, career-focused, and at the time I thought I was ready for the next chapter of life, marriage and family. Around that same time, I met the woman who would become my fiancée. She was a school teacher in my hometown, and I'll never forget how we crossed paths. It wasn't on a dating app, wasn't through a friend, wasn't at work. It was at a local musical. Now, I wasn't even planning to go that night. A friend had an extra ticket and convinced me to come along. When the show ended and everyone was funneling out of the theater, I noticed her. She stood out in the crowd, not because she was loud or flashy, but because of her style. It had this gothic touch to it, but not over the top. She wore dark clothes, had a couple of piercings, and this confident but laid-back demeanor. Something about her made me pause. I approached her outside, we got to talking, and I found myself instantly drawn in. She was intelligent, witty, and she had this sharp humor that matched mine. That same night, we decided to grab ice cream together at Cold Stone. I remember sitting there with her for hours talking about books. She was a huge reader like me, and we compared notes on everything from classics to modern authors. I thought I had struck gold, someone beautiful, intelligent, stylish, and grounded. That night turned into more dates, and before long we were officially together. The relationship years. Over the next 2 years, everything seemed perfect. And when I say perfect, I mean not a single red flag showed itself. She was kind, supportive, and she seemed to love me for who I was. I can already hear people in the red pill space groaning because I know what a lot of men online say about women with tattoos or piercings, that they're walking red flags, that they can't be trusted, that you'll regret it eventually. I heard all that. And to be completely transparent, yes, she had tattoos. Not an overwhelming number, but enough that those voices in the back of my head said, don't ignore this. But I was in love, man. I thought I had found the unicorn. Everyone says doesn't exist. I told myself, not all women fit stereotypes. I thought she was the yin to my yang. Now, before anyone chews me out too hard, I'll admit this. I wasn't exactly experienced in relationships. She was only the second woman I'd ever been with. My first real relationship was back in high school, and after that, I just buried myself in academics. I thought waiting, being intentional, and not sleeping around would lead me to someone who appreciated that. So yes, I was naive. But everything between us felt natural. She met my parents, I met hers. We went on trips. She was affectionate, thoughtful, and I trusted her. 2 years in, I proposed. She said yes, cried, hugged me, and from that moment on, I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with her. Wedding prep. Once we got engaged, we dove headfirst into wedding planning. Anyone who's gone through that knows how stressful and expensive it can get, but we were both chipping in. I paid for my share, she paid for hers, and it felt like we were both equally invested. I remember making spreadsheets to track expenses, venue options, and guest lists. She was all in, too. We'd have evenings where we'd sit on the couch, laptops open, planning every detail. She seemed excited, genuinely happy about it. That's what makes what I discovered all the more confusing. If she was so invested in planning this future with me, why would she be out here setting up dates with other men? The discovery. It happened on a regular night. She was over at my place, and she hopped in the shower, While she was in there, her phone buzzed. Normally, I never touched her phone. I trusted her, but this time, a notification caught my eye. It was an email from a popular dating app. The subject line said something like, "You have a new message." My heart dropped instantly. Against my usual nature, I opened her phone. I don't even feel guilty about it to this day because the truth needed to come out. Sure enough, she had an active account on this dating app, not just a profile she had forgotten about, but actively messaging guys. And worse, she had a conversation open with one guy about meeting up in a couple of days. He mentioned sex, and while she didn't respond directly to that part, she didn't shut him down either. She was scheduling a meetup. Whether she actually slept with him or not didn't matter to me. The intent was there. She was lining up a date while engaged to me. That was cheating in my book, no debate about it. The confrontation? When she got out of the shower, I was waiting. I confronted her immediately, phone in hand. Her face went pale. She tried to spin it, of course. First, she claimed it was some kind of fake app, just for fun. Then she tried gaslighting me, saying it wasn't what it looked like. But the messages were clear. There was no mistaking it. I told her to get the hell out of my house. She got defensive, panicked, and then frightened. She realized I wasn't playing around. As she was scrambling to leave, I pulled the engagement ring right off her finger. She broke down crying, saying, "You can't do that." But I did. I slammed the door in her face, and just like that, the wedding was off. Aftermath. I never gave her the ring back. I never gave her the money she had chipped in for the wedding back either. Why would I? She was the one who destroyed it all. But here's the kicker. This wasn't the end of it. She tried to make me out as the bad guy. To her, I was the villain who ruined her big day. She went around telling people I blindsided her, that I was heartless, that I humiliated her. The reality? She humiliated herself. I'll get into all the drama she put me through after the breakup in a follow-up email because that's a whole saga on its own. But for now, I just want this story to stand as proof that no matter how perfect someone seems, you never truly know until you do. Reflection. Looking back now, I realize how inexperienced I was. I put her on a pedestal, thought she was different, thought she was the exception. I ignored the warnings from other men because I wanted to believe in my version of love. And to be clear, I don't hate women. I'm not bitter, but I am more cautious. I don't fall for appearances or charm so easily anymore. I don't ignore my gut. Some people will say, I dodged a bullet. They're right. It hurt like hell at the time, but it would have been 10 times worse if I found out after marriage. So, to any men listening, don't ignore the signs. Don't convince yourself that you've found a unicorn just because you're in love. And most importantly, trust, but verify. After I shut that door in her face, because honestly, it was worse than the cheating itself. She didn't just disappear quietly. No, she stalked me. She tried to ruin my career, and I even had nasty run-ins with her father and brother. That part of the story is what I want to share today. The fallout. Right after. The morning after I ended it, I woke up to a flood of text messages, dozens of them. She went from begging me to reconsider, to guilt-tripping me, to accusing me of being cruel for canceling her special day. Her words still ring in my head. You don't understand how much this wedding meant to me. Everyone's going to think I'm a failure because of you. You ruined everything. Notice she never once said, I'm sorry for cheating. It was all about her embarrassment, her loss, her reputation. I blocked her number, but she just moved to email, social media, even creating new accounts when I blocked those. The stalking. For weeks, I felt like I was being watched. I'd leave my apartment and see her car parked down the street. She'd show up at the grocery store where I shopped, at the same gym, even outside my office building. At first, I thought maybe it was coincidence. Cleveland isn't the biggest city, but it's not tiny either. Then I realized she was following me. One night, I walked out of a restaurant after grabbing dinner with a colleague, and there she was across the street in her car, just staring. No attempt to talk, no confrontation, just watching. I confronted her once. I walked up to her car, knocked on the window, and told her she needed to stop. She rolled down the window with tears in her eyes and said, "You can't just erase me from your life like I never mattered." It was chilling. This wasn't love anymore. It was obsession. Career sabotage attempts. Around this time, I had just started my first big post-PhD job. It was a position I had worked my whole life for, and I was excited to finally be building my career. But guess who decided to interfere? She started calling my office, leaving messages at the front desk, telling my coworkers and even my boss that I had anger issues. She emailed HR with claims that I had been emotionally abusive. She even went as far as sending screenshots of completely fabricated conversations where she pretended I had threatened her. Thankfully, my boss pulled me aside and asked me about it privately instead of taking her word at face value. I explained the situation, even showed him proof of her stalking and my blocking her on every platform. He told me not to worry, that as long as I stayed professional, it wouldn't affect my job. But the damage to my peace of mind was real. Every time I got an email notification or my phone rang, I braced myself, wondering if it was another attack from her. Family drama. If that wasn't enough, her family got involved. About 2 weeks after I ended things, I got a call from her father. At first, he tried to play the peacemaker, saying things like, "You two should sit down and talk this out. A marriage is about forgiveness." I told him politely, but firmly, "Sir, your daughter was on a dating app setting up dates. There's no coming back from that." His tone shifted instantly. He started yelling, accusing me of being petty, of humiliating his daughter. He said I had ruined her life and that real men work through problems. That phrase stuck with me. Real men work through problems. To him, cheating wasn't a deal breaker. To him, my problem was pride. I hung up before I said something I'd regret, but it didn't stop there. A few days later, her brother showed up at my apartment. He's a couple years younger than me, but bigger, gym rat type. He knocked on my door like he wanted to break it down. When I opened, he immediately got in my face. "Why are you doing this to my sister?" he shouted. "You're making her look like a fool." I told him calmly, "Your sister made herself look like a fool. She cheated." He didn't want to hear it. He shoved me in the chest. Now, I'm not a small guy, but I've never been a fighter. I just pushed him back enough to create space and told him to leave before I called the cops. He cursed me out, stormed off, and that was that. But the message was clear. Her family wanted to pin everything on me. Smear campaign. After that, she took her vendetta public. She posted on Facebook and Instagram, writing these long paragraphs about how I was controlling, how I abandoned her, how I stole her money. Mutual friends started reaching out to me, asking what was going on. Some believed her at first. Others waited to hear my side. When I explained, most of them sided with me, but a few cut me off entirely. It's crazy how fast people will judge when they only know half the story. For months, I felt like I was on trial in the court of public opinion. Side story: the wedding vendors. One of the wildest parts of all this was dealing with the wedding vendors. We had deposits down with venues, caterers, and photographers. She actually called some of them and told them I was refusing to pay. I had to personally reach out, explain the situation, and in some cases eat the deposit just to keep my reputation intact. One vendor, a photographer, actually told me, "You wouldn't believe how often we see this. Weddings get called off because of cheating more than you'd think." That weirdly gave me some comfort. I wasn't alone. Trying to move on. Through all of this, I kept reminding myself, better now than later. I dodged a lifelong bullet, but moving on wasn't easy when she refused to let go. I started going to therapy. I needed someone objective to help me process the betrayal, the harassment, and the stress. My therapist told me that what I was experiencing was textbook obsessive ex behavior and that I needed to consider legal action. I filed a restraining order. It was granted temporarily, then made permanent after I presented evidence of her stalking and attempts to sabotage my career. That was the turning point. Once the order was in place, the stalking slowed down. The smear campaign eventually died off when people realized she was just spinning stories. Reflection. Looking back, I realized her obsession wasn't about love at all. It was about image. She was more concerned about the wedding, the dress, the pictures, the attention, than she was about the marriage. When I took that away, she unraveled. Her family enabled her behavior. Instead of holding her accountable, they projected everything onto me. That taught me something. When you marry someone, you marry their family too. If the family is toxic, you're signing up for years of headaches. Today, I'm in a better place. I'm still single, but I'm more focused on building my career and enjoying life. If the right woman comes along, great. If not, I'm not rushing into anything ever again. But, to put it simply, I'm done with relationships. Completely. Forever. 1. How I came to this decision. When the dust finally settled after the breakup and restraining order, I had a lot of quiet nights alone in my apartment. At first, I thought the loneliness would crush me. For years, I had been preparing to be a husband. I'd pictured the wedding, the honeymoon, kids down the road. Having all that ripped away in a single night felt like someone had taken the blueprint of my future and shredded it. But as the weeks turned into months, I started realizing something. My life was calmer without her. My house was peaceful. My phone wasn't blowing up with fights or drama. My bank account wasn't draining from wedding expenses. I had time again. Time to read, time to think, time to work. That's when it clicked. Maybe I don't actually need a relationship. It wasn't a bitter conclusion at first. It was more like an experiment. What happens if I give all the love, energy, and devotion I used to give to a partner back to myself, back to my career? 3 years later, I have my answer. Life is better this way. 2. My career becomes my relationship. After earning my PhD, I landed a research-heavy job in my field. I won't go into specifics for privacy, but it's in a discipline that demands constant focus, publishing papers, collaborating internationally, and staying ahead of the curve. Before, I balanced work with relationship obligations. Date nights, calls, trips, all that has its place. But now, my career is my partner. My career is my family. My career is my mission. I wake up early, hit the gym, and then bury myself in research. I'm producing more than I ever thought possible. I presented at 2 major conferences. I've published work I'm proud of. I've been invited onto panels where, a few years ago, I would have just been sitting in the audience. Would I have achieved all that if I had been dragged into marriage with someone like my ex? Honestly, no. I'd be stressed, distracted, probably already dealing with divorce court. 3. Family and friends' reactions. Of course, people ask me, "So Jacob, are you dating again?" When I say no, and that I never plan to, they act shocked. Some try to talk me out of it. My mom, bless her, still wants grandchildren. She hints at it every holiday. My dad, on the other hand, just nods and says, "As long as you're happy." Friends have mixed reactions. Some guys understand completely. They've seen what modern relationships can do to men. Alimony, child support battles, cheating, drama. Others think I'm being extreme. They'll say, "Not all women are like your ex." And maybe they're right. But here's the thing. I'm not willing to gamble my peace of mind anymore. I already played the game. I lost, and I only had to lose once to realize I don't want to play again. 4. The temptation factor. Now, I'd be lying if I said temptation never creeps in. I'm a human being. I see attractive women all the time. I get approached occasionally. Dating apps still exist. Coworkers flirt, and there are always opportunities if I wanted them. But every time I even consider it, I remind myself of the pain I went through, the constant anxiety of wondering if she was loyal, the heartbreak of finding out she wasn't, the embarrassment of canceling a wedding, the harassment afterwards. No amount of temporary companionship is worth reopening that wound. So when temptation shows up, I treat it like a distraction from my mission. Just like junk food when you're on a diet, or skipping the gym when you've got goals. It's easy in the moment, but it costs you long term. 5. Filling the void. People ask, don't you feel lonely? Here's the truth. At first, yes, but I filled that void with healthier things. Books. I've gone back to my love of reading. Fiction, history, philosophy. I devour them. Travel. Instead of taking a girlfriend on trips, I travel solo or with friends. I've been to 3 new countries in the last 2 years. Mentorship. I mentor a couple of younger grad students now. It feels good to help them avoid mistakes I made. Fitness. I'm in the best shape of my life. I used to joke that stress from my ex was my cardio. Now I train seriously and it clears my mind. Community. I've joined local clubs, debate groups, a hiking club, even a chess meetup. Social needs don't require romance. The truth is, you don't have to replace a relationship with nothing. You just replace it with things that actually give back instead of drain. 6. Side story, the wedding ring. One thing I haven't shared before, I still have the ring I took back from her. At first, I thought about selling it. Then I thought about throwing it in the river. Instead, I keep it locked away in a drawer. Not because I want it, but because it's a reminder. Whenever doubt creeps in, when I start to wonder if maybe I should try again, I take out that ring, look at it, and remember what it cost me. It grounds me. It reminds me why I chose this path. 7. Financial freedom. Another benefit, money. Let's be honest, relationships cost. Dates, gifts, vacations, weddings, potentially divorce settlements. Without any of that, I'm saving and investing aggressively. I've already paid down more student debt than I thought possible. I'm building wealth. I bought my own condo, fully furnished it, and it feels good knowing it's mine. I sometimes think about how, if I had married her, half of what I own could be tied up in divorce court right now. Instead, I'm free. 8. What I've learned about myself. Stepping away from relationships has forced me to confront who I am outside of being a partner. I've learned I'm more disciplined than I thought. I can handle solitude. My worth isn't defined by whether someone loves me. My goals matter more than outside validation. It's not that I hate love. It's that I finally love myself enough to stop outsourcing my happiness. 9. A word to other men. I know some guys will hear my story and think, that's extreme, Jacob. You're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Maybe, but let me ask, what's extreme about choosing peace? If you find a good woman and you're happy, more power to you. But if you've been burned, if you're on the fence, if you feel trapped, hear me out. You don't have to get back in the game. It's okay to walk away and never look back. Society will pressure you. Family will pressure you. But at the end of the day, it's your life, not theirs. 10. Where I am now. So where am I now? I've never been clearer about my direction. My career is thriving. My mind is sharper. My health is better. My wallet is healthier. I wake up with purpose. I go to bed without drama. and I don't miss her or any relationship one bit. I've accepted that my legacy won't be kids or marriage. My legacy will be the work I produce, the students I mentor, the knowledge I leave behind. That's enough for me. Closing. So that's my final update, and I'm not bitter. I don't hate anyone. I just know who I am now, and who I am is a man who chooses his mission over romance. Maybe that'll change someday. Maybe it won't. But for now, this is the happiest I've been. Thanks again for letting me share my journey. Sincerely, Jacob.